morning and welcome to NTV Today. My name is Ken Mijungu. We are live from the Nation Center. We are also live from the Milimani local shortly with Vincent Duward. The Migori Governor, Okotobado, who spent the night at the Gigiri police station, is expected to be arraigned in court. He will be charged with, among other charges, holding illegal firearms. Vincent Duward will be briefing us from that end. We are also live from the Kenyatta International Conventional Center, where Julian Amboko is reporting live from this morning. Right here in studio, we are live with Sean Kaduvilis, and he'll be speaking to us about what the sports desk has. Well, let's begin with the KICC, where Julian's is. Julian's, good morning. We know it's the China-Kenya Expo, and it's also dubbed Jaza Containers. Tell us what's happening on day 4, I think, of this expo.
Thank you very much, Ken Mijungu. We are live at the KICC, whereby this function, the China-Kenya Industrial Expo, was opened officially yesterday by the Cabinet Secretary for Trade and Industry, Peter Munya. As you rightly put it, the idea here is to help in bridging the trade divide between the two countries. If you check statistics, Kenya imports up to about 300 billion shillings worth of imports from China and exports only about 10 billion shillings, which has been a point of grave concern for the country. And there have been a number of efforts. Early this month, President Uhuru Kenyatta was in Shanghai, China for the Import Expo, where he was aggressively lobbying for preferential treatment of Kenyan exports to widen the access of Kenyan traders into the market. Yesterday, Peter Munya, the CS for Trade and Industry, was giving us an update of some of the developments thus far. He tells us that a protocol has been finalized, which is expected to ease in the access of Kenya's stevia exports, stevia being a sweetener that is used a lot by China, into the country. One of the challenges that Kenya has been facing is that being classified as a developing country, while many other countries in Africa are least developed countries, it doesn't get the tariff benefits that a number of its competitors in this region are facing. So the challenge has been in putting across a framework of tariffs which will enable Kenyan exporters to have wider access into the Chinese market. He tells us that the next crop which is in focus will be avocado, given the booming avocado prices right now. So this will be a matter of interest, especially in the discussions going forward. We are told today there are no key discussions coming into place, but there will be side meetings at the sectoral level to see how the nuances affecting various sectors, whether it is leather or agro-processing, will be addressed to enable Kenyan exporters to at least tap into the wider Chinese market. It's also interesting that this expo comes just at the same time when Kenya is having its Development Partners Forum. So one of the things that is coming into focus is that these two events are happening concurrently. Today we will be focusing on the sectoral meetings and some of the resolutions that will be arrived at, just to see how we can enable this country to address the trade divide. Back to you, Ken.
Julian, and of course, how long is this running? Is it still running to the weekend? And of course, when we visit the KICC this morning, which stands are we likely to visit?
Yes, good question, Ken. This event should be running through this week, I am told. And when you visit at the KICC, a number of stands here are focusing on industrial capacity. So you'll find machinery around generators, you will find tractors. We have seen vehicles outside here, which are buses and ambulances. So the whole idea is to address the question of technological transfer between the two countries. One of the issues which has been a matter of debate in the recent past has been the fact that whereas China is bringing a lot of investment into the country, there isn't adequate technology transfer which enables the Kenyan nationals to participate in some of these development projects and the contracts. So the discussion is really being centered around the technological transfer between the two countries and how Kenya can leverage into the Chinese experience in getting some of the equipment, some of the skills that will enable us to upgrade our capacity to run some of these complex projects which are presently being dominated by the Chinese. The agro-processing industry as well, in terms of the capacity we have to boost the value chains of our various products. Stevia is just one example which the CS spoke about yesterday. We are now looking at avocado. We are told a number of protocols will be signed between now and January, such that as we get into 2019, Kenyan traders will be able to get a wider access into the Chinese market. market. One of the points of concerns which has been raised by the ministry, and this will be a point of interest, is that there's now growing worry that even if we widen up access to the Chinese market, we don't have the production capacity to meet the demand that is coming from such a vast market. We have about 1.4 billion people in terms of the population there, and therefore now the concern is the government putting in place measures that will enable it to scale up the capacity for production across the value chains in terms of agriculture, in terms of manufacturing and processing. So that is one of the key issues that we will be looking at today, Ken.
All right, Julian, thank you very much, but our avocado are hardly enough for us, so I don't think we can export what we don't have. We still need them. We need to eat them. Thanks, Julian. So we'll be speaking to him much later on the latest from the KICC. But let's speak sports, and Sean Carvelis is in studio. Sean, what do you have from your desk?
Yeah, thank you very much. Quite a lot happening. First of all, of course, there was this big result for the Emerging Stars yesterday. 5-0 over Mauritius. This was, of course, the national under-23 team. And they play again on Sunday in Port Louis. That's the capital of Mauritius, where the conditions are expected to be quite different to what happened, of course, yesterday at Kasarani. The Mauritians probably suffering a little bit because of altitude. But also, remember, they go into very big humidity. They have a lot of humidity in Port Louis, and it's going to be hot and stuffy. The boys should really go through 5-0, but now the focus really is on the senior team. Remember, they were supposed to have this match against Sierra Leone. That has been cancelled. It's FIFA's International Week. We're still awaiting an official confirmation from CAF as to exactly what is happening on that side. Is Sierra Leone going to be kicked out permanently? Because we'll hear probably in the 1 o'clock news from the head coach, Sebastian Migné. He's saying now that it's becoming logistically impossible should Sierra Leone be reintegrated back into the qualifying process for the Africa Cup of Nations. Logistically, it's becoming impossible because of the FIFA windows, which are becoming less and less. I think the next FIFA window is not until 2019, and we're running out of time in terms of getting those matches played. So we'll find out what's happening, of course, in the next few days, what's happening on that side. Also news from the ATP finals, Novak Djokovic on winning ways. He's still doing very well. We'll get the latest on tennis and, of course, other international stories. Sports coming up a little bit later on NTV.
And Sean, thank you very much. Looking forward to all that. Sean will be joining us at 1 p.m. with the latest in sports. Right now, today, one of the biggest story we're following up for you is the arrest and detention overnight of Migori Governor Okoth Obado, who's expected in court. Vincent Oduor is at the Milimani Law Court, so he'll be speaking to us shortly. But first, let's get a reaction from the county of Migori, where Bernard Ojwang is on standby. Bernard, good morning. Of course, a lot of people from Migori are disappointed. Their governor has been arrested. This is the second time. He's been out less than 1 month, but he's already been arrested. He spent the night at the Gigiri police station and is headed to the court this morning. Tell us, what are the residents of Migori County talking about this morning?
Well, thank you very much, Ken. We are here in Wendo town, Migori County. Yes, indeed, just as you have said, that it is late last month is when Migori Governor Zachary Okoth Obado was released on cash bail after being detained for almost 1 month following the murder of former Rongo University student Sharon Otieno, who was brutally murdered and dumped in Kodera Forest. Remember, apart from that, Obado has been also, EACC has been tracing Obado following corruption allegations, and on Tuesday, very early morning, EACC officers accompanied by armed police officers raided Obado's home, and according to the police, they managed to recover 8 guns, and something that has also triggered different reactions here in Migori County, as Obado's supporters and Migori County residents saying that the move was not good, saying that EACC officers have been coming to Migori County each and every time, and they have not tabled clear evidence following these cases or the allegations they have been saying against Migori County governor. And now we are just going to talk to some of Migori County residents just to get what they think about this, and let's hear from them. You as a Migori County resident, what do you think about this?
Nataka niongee kwa Kiswahili. Hii maneno ya Migori inashangaza sana. Sababu juzi tumesoma kwa magazeti Obado ameiba bilioni 2. Juzi tumesoma kwa magazeti bado sijui amefanya nini, maneno ya corruption mengi. Leo sasa hii maneno ya corruption hatuoni. Tunaona maneno ya bunduki. Sasa tujui maneno mali ICC inaelekea na hii maneno ya corruption, ama ni bunduki ama ni maneno ya pesa. Atuelewi ya ICC kabisa. Sasa watuambie ukweli. Actually kama hata ni political witch hunt, tujue nini inaendelea kabisa kwenye nani hii maneno bado, sababu inashangaza sana. Asante.
Asante sana. Let's get from another person here. You'll start with your name.
Okay, I'm called George Okoth, resident of Awendo sub-county, and also a resident of Migori County. First of all, I want to term the act as being abolished to our governor, and also being economy block to the county of Migori. To speak more is that the issue of corruption is a matter of the county. It is a county word. We can't say it to be one of the it is the most effective thing in the county government. Now, how can we relate the issue of having can say guns in the house and also related with the corruption case? Is it relating? It is a contradicting issue that even any other person can understand that this one is now becoming political. It's not an issue of concern, and it's an issue that people of Migori should sound as being promulgated. And we can sound that. And it is a matter of discussion, be it within the sub-county of Migoris and also to the resident also. The development issue is an issue of effect to the county.
Okay, following the arrest, what do you think about it?
I can sound it at being political, because it's not an issue of concern with the issue of corruption issue. Yeah, we can sound it as that. Because since yesterday, the corruption officials were here within Migori County. Yeah, all the issues were tackled, and yet the issues of corruption were not there. Yeah, think that the officials were looking for the papers concerning what? Corruption issues. Yeah? They didn't find them. What about yesterday?
Well, thank you very much. We'll talk to another person here. What do you think about the arrest of Migori Songa Karibu?
I'm Ken Mijungu. I'm from Awendo sub-county. I'm not happy with the arrest of our governor, because our governor was just recently he was arrested. Before he finished his case, he's again arrested now. So we are not happy. We want our leader to be given time so that he can do his work. If he is not given time, the Migori County will lag behind. Which means that we will not receive what we need as Awendo sub-county. So the ICC should give room so that our leader should finish his case fast, which he was given a bail of 5 million.
What do you mean be given another chance at least to complete the case?
Because it is a tight time. If he was not given time, he's going to be confused. He's not going to deliver to the Migori County people. He's going to be in the court every time and every now, which means our development will stand still.
Thank you very much. Will speaker join me here? Karibu. You want to say something again?
It's okay. Let me address this to the county resident and also the entire countrywide Kenya. I want to sound this to the people or the political allies that being our governor is struggling for development within the county government of Migori. We want to say publicly that allow our governor to deliver services to us allow him to implement the agendas which he made to the people during the political times.
Why do you link these to politics?
I can term it as being political issue, since can you relate the issue of corruption? Relate to the founding of GAN. It is not coming. Yeah? Being EACC were looking for the papers concerning the issue of corruption. Yeah? Related with the GAN. Is it concerning? When I can say this as being in embassy to the county government of Migori, and the county resident of Migori, Awendo sub-county especially, is demanding for the stability of our governor, Honorable Zachary Okoth Obado.
Well, I think I'll speak to another person. What do you think about the arrest of Migori County Governor Zachary Okoth Obado?
The arrest of Migori Governor Okoth Obado, to us as the people of Migori, I think it is political somehow. Yeah, it is political somehow.
Why?
Because very soon is when he was released. But today, Migori Governor Okoth Obado is in again. If we are talking about the guns which was found inside his house, our governor was having security, and the security cannot be there without guns. So to say it is just politics, there is politics in this issue.
Well, I'll come back to you. Ken, just if I can remind you, recently when Deputy President William Ruto came to Migori, when he was touring Nyanza region, Migori Governor Zachary Okoth Obado declared that he will be fully supporting and working together with Deputy President William Ruto. And also you had Kalonzo Musyoka saying that he will work closely with the President of this Republic, Uhuru Kenyatta. And this war will be asking these people, what do they think about this move by a politician, and especially Migori County Governor Zachary Okoth Obado? What do you think, working or Obado declaring that he will be working closely with the Deputy President William Ruto?
Okay, working closely with the Deputy President William Ruto, William Ruto is within the government, and as people as Migori County, we want development. So if we cannot work close with the government, we cannot get development that we want. So therefore, working close with William Ruto, I don't see any problem in that issue, because people as people of Migori County want development. And if the Deputy President can bring us development as people of Migori, then I don't see any problem.
Well, thank you very much. I'll talk to another person. Do you think Obado declaring that he will be working closely with Deputy President William Ruto is good for Migori people?
Actually, I'm John Aqua. I don't think there is any problem Deputy President visiting Migori on development issue, or maybe Obado joining him on development issues. The only thing that we want, being that there's a cordial agreement between Obado and Deputy President, should not be an issue for us. Actually, what we are expecting is development. All I want as John Aqua is that Raila be accorded his personal respect. That respect that Raila should be accorded. That is the only thing that we only need. Deputy President William Ruto is invited to Migori anytime, any day, to do anything he wants. Only that we want that Raila must be respected. Raila must be respected, and we are repeating that.
What do you think, Kalonzo working with closely with the president?
No, Kalonzo has the right to work with the president. You know, we are in the unity. There is a unity. There is something that Raila is working on, that we want all leaders to be united. So that unity, bringing Kalonzo to Ruto, to Uhuru, to Raila, is not something bad. All we want is peace. You know, we've been running around in roads, doing a lot of nasty things, and these are the things that we want currently to avoid. The peace, I think, the peace is more important.
Thank you very much. I'll speak to gender here. Join me here, madam. Okay, let's start with your name. Pengine hebu tueleze gavana wenyu Zachary Okoth Obado jana aliweza kukamatwa. Nyinyi kama wakazi wa Migori mnahisi vipi?
Okay, kwa majina naitwa Goreti Achieng. Okay, kwa kukamatwa kwake kwa hizo bunduki siwezi ongea kwa sababu kulingana na sheria mtu anafaa akuwe na bunduki yenye iko na license. Na tena kama mtu ako na bunduki anafaa akuwe na bunduki moja, sio kama hizo 8 kama hizo zenye ziko.
Na hivi juzi wakati Deputy President alipokuja hapa Migori, Obado alisema kwamba atafanya kazi pamoja na naibu wa Rais William Ruto. Wewe kama mkazi wa Migori waliona mna gani swala hili?
Okay, kusema kwake ati atafanya kazi na Ruto hakuna shida, bora wafanye kazi lakini isiwe na itilafu wala isiwe na vitu za kugonganisha vichwa za watu. Wafanye kazi yenye itatusaidia na maendeleo ya watu wa Kenya.
Kalonzo kufanya kazi pamoja na Rais Uhuru Kenyatta?
Hiyo pia hakuna shida, bora wafanye kazi yenye wataleta maendeleo katika nchi yetu ya Kenya.
I'll speak to you want to speak here? Join me here. What do you think the rest of Deputy President, the rest of Migori Governor Zachary Obado?
Ruto working with Governor Obado, I think it is not bad because Ruto is in the parliament, in the government, is ready to work with anybody. And what I want to ask, as people of Migori County, Awendo Sub-County, what is going on with Obado? Taking Obado every day to the prison, whatever, to the cell, will make us lose everything. Now people are working, development is going on, yet in Migori, do you think when Obado is in, as now, there is no development going on in Migori, there is no development going on in Awendo? We are wondering, people of Awendo, what is Obado doing that to these people? And that one is the question I want to ask the government. Do you think Obado is doing something bad never people have not even done before? Working with Obado, we will work with Obado, whether is working with Ruto, working with who, as long as the development is going on. Let's do this. And we focus the time Ruto came to Migori, and we heard that Ruto was ready to raise a development towards Migori County, and those are the beneficiaries we want from the government for us to see in Migori.
Well, I'll speak to another. Do you want to speak? Well, Ken, you've just heard from Migori County residents. They are saying that on the issue of the arrest of Migori Governor Zachary Obado, they are saying that they are not pleased and they need the government at least to dig deep on what's going on between the security officers and the governor. Are saying that Obado is allowed to have as many guns as he wants, and you've heard from another lady they are saying that in case Obado needs security, should be having one gun. And according to the issue of working closely with Deputy President William Ruto, Migori County government, Migori County residents are saying that they are ready for development, and in case Ruto will be bringing development to this county, then they will have no option but support the two and bring change in Migori County. Back to you.
Bernard, thank you very much. Very comprehensive observations from the residents of Migori County. Governor Obado will be arraigned in court shortly. We will know the charges, but we understand illegal possession of firearms is one of the charges that will be brought in court. And Vincent Oduor is on that bit this morning. We'll be speaking to him as soon as we can. And of course, one of the discussions we are having this morning with Ben Mulwa and David Osiany is based on that, plus other topics. So stay here. We'll have that discussion shortly. But first, let's talk about what we are looking out for throughout the day. Let's begin with the Kenya-China Trade Expo, which is also continuing at the KICC. Now we will cross over live for quick updates later. Now Kenya is aiming to double her export to China in 1 year. There are also hundreds of Chinese firms looking to set up shop in Kenya and get deals with the government. We'll tell you why this is important for the two countries. And Julian Amboko, we spoke to him earlier, and he is right there at the KICC. All right, we'll speak to Julian Samboko a little bit later again. And on our diary today, we will be at the Kenya Revenue Authority, and it's all about the taxes. KRA is holding a media sensitization on the value-added tax. Now, this coming at a time when KRA is struggling to meet their targets. Recently, President Uhuru Kenyatta directed the taxman to focus on the rich in the society to ensure they do pay equal taxes to what they earn. We'll ask KRA what their new strategy will be. And we're keeping our eyes also on several stories. We are on the developments concerning the detention of Migori Governor Okoth Obado. He may be arraigned this morning. Obado was arrested for the second time in 3 months by police. The arrest comes just today after EACC detectives raided 2 of his homes right here in the capital and in his country of Migori, where a total of 8 guns were found. Now, Obado was picked up at the Nairobi hotel and was taken to the DCI headquarters for interrogation. And you remember the quack doctor? We are also keeping our eye on that. Now, Mugo Wairimo is spending the second day in custody. Who was detained for 10 days to allow the police to complete investigations into allegations of illegal dealings in his illegal clinic in Nairobi's Kayole estate. Now, Mugo was arrested Tuesday evening. He has been on the run for almost 2 weeks since we aired that feature. There has been a hiccup since there is no victim who has lodged a complaint with the police just yet. Now, as we wait to speak to Vincent Oduor on the arraignment of Migori Governor Zachary Okoth Obado, let's tell you what happened yesterday. Now, the governor was arrested for the second time in 3 months by police. The arrest came a day after EACC detectives raided 2 of his homes right in the capital and in Migori County, where a total of 8 guns were found. Obado, who was picked up at a hotel right here in the capital, was taken to the DCI headquarters for interrogation, as NTV's Mel Miendo now reports.
Migori Governor Okoth Obado is in police custody yet again. He was arrested Wednesday afternoon at a city hotel, this time over guns found in his Migori and Nairobi homes. Obado, who is out on a 5 million shilling bond in a case where he is accused of the murder of late Sharon Otieno and their 7-month unborn child, was arrested while attending a meeting with the country's development partners as part of the team accompanying Deputy President William Ruto. It is reported that 8 guns were found in his premises and crucial documents linked to a corruption case after a team of 60 EACC detectives raided his homes separately in Lavington, Nairobi and Rapogi, Migori, and conducted a 5-hour-long search. Whether the guns were licensed is likely to be a big issue.
Anything that is found there can be planted or can be brought by another person, so they cannot really say it's him. So they really have nothing as a case. But of course, the kind of pressure, the kind of person he is, somebody is an easy target, so he will easily be clobbered.
EACC has been investigating Migori County for 3 years now on the loss of 2.5 billion shillings from the county's coffers. Obado is accused of using proxies, among them his relatives, to siphon the funds. Mel Miendo, NTV.
And shortly the court will be convening. Let's take a look at inside the courtroom. Vincent Oduor is showing us those pictures. The lawyers are ready. We see several people attending that court hearing. Governor Okoth Obado has not yet arrived in court, but we expect at any moment he will be in court, and we'll also know which judge he will be presented before. We'll bring you all those details, but this is coming a day after his homes were raided by the EACC and guns were recovered. And we understand from Cliff Ombeta that 5 guns that were found in Migori can be explained. 2 guns in Nairobi can also be explained. Rather, 5 guns in Nairobi can be explained. 2 from Migori can be explained. However, 1 cannot be explained. We'll get all those details, but these are the live pictures from the courtroom in Milimani. Vincent Oduor will be joining us later, and of course we expect him to take plea later on. So as soon as we have details, more details from the courtroom and the charges, we'll definitely be telling you. But my guests are already in studio. We have Ben Mulwa and we have David Osia. We'll be speaking to them shortly about several stories we're running. But first, this is one of the stories that we want to speak to them about. Now, Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru has withdrawn a case where she sued ODM leader Raila Odinga for defaming her. Raila had linked Waiguru to the loss of hundreds of millions of shillings at the National Youth Service that led to her resignation in 2015. During a private meeting at the opposition leader's office at Capitol Hill, Raila said bygones should be left to be bygones, while Waiguru said in the spirit of cohesion and reconciliation in the country, the matter stands settled. Take a look. In the meeting, the two agreed to leave the matter of the National Youth Service scandal in the hands of investigators. In support of the reconciliation efforts, the Kirinyaga governor, Anne Waiguru, told Raila Odinga that the case is now settled. The case was filed back in 2015 and until earlier this year had not made significant progress.
We hope that this matter, facts are going to come out in the process of the investigations which are being carried out by competent authorities.
The governor was aggrieved that Raila Odinga had linked her to the loss of millions of shillings and publicly asked Waiguru to take responsibility for the same.
And that matter, as of today, stands settled in the spirit of cohesion and oneness and reconciliation in the country.
In November of last year, Raila Odinga lost a bid to have Waiguru directed to provide information on her lifestyle. He also wanted the court to dismiss the case when it became apparent that Waiguru was not going to provide information about her lifestyle, including her assets. But then the court held that, even though Waiguru refused to declare her wealth, she had provided sufficient reasons to the court for not doing the same, and described the request as unnecessary and unreasonable. Among the issues Raila wanted Waiguru to respond to include her salary, allowances, list of properties owned, and material worth. But Raila was not the only one who was sued. Former senators Boni Halwale of Kakamega and Johnson Mudhama of Machakos were also sued for linking her to the theft of the 791 million shillings at the National Youth Service. While Waiguru, who was then the Devolution Cabinet Secretary, admitted there was loss of funds, she denied involvement in the theft, instead taking the position that she was the whistleblower in the case.
Jina yake ilikuwa katika ile list of shame ambayo Uhuru alipeleka kule bungeni. Lakini Uhuru alitoa jina yake kabla hajapeleka hiyo list kule. Maana yake walikuwa wameiba zaidi ya shilingi bilioni 1. Mimi nimesema
This case was filed under certificate of agency at the Milimani Law Courts in September of 2015. She told the court that Raila's utterances over her alleged involvement in the scandal were false, defamatory, and portrayed her as a common thief, an embezzler of public funds, corrupt in the extreme, a flagrant lawbreaker, and unfit to hold public office. Waiguru had demanded an unconditional apology from Odinga and asked him not to repeat the claims and to admit liability, or she would pursue damages. The case is now settled. Ken Mijungu, NTV. A good place to begin our discussion this morning, and Ben Mulwa joins me in studio and David Osia. Let's begin, gentlemen, with that discussion. I mean, a lot of people, when they saw the pictures that were tweeted by both the former Prime Minister and Anne Waiguru, talking about that meeting, and Raila saying, let bygones be bygones, and Waiguru saying that in the spirit of cohesion, the matter is now settled. And just in January, early in the year. We remember there was a lot of push and pull. Raila trying to say this case needs to be withdrawn. Waiguru has refused to declare her wealth. We can't move forward without this. And a lot of people are reading a lot more than we were shown yesterday, and they're going back to the first time 2015 when Raila talked about NYS1 and the way he was passionate about it. Suddenly things have changed, and now there's a spirit of cohesion and handshake, and we can drop cases that are so important to Kenyans. Ben,
you know, Ken, first good morning.
Good morning.
I think there is a real problem in this country, and this problem has been there for a very long time. And unfortunately, I think our politicians are learning very fast from our slay queens, whereby anything goes. No principles, no etiquette, no manners, no guiding philosophy. It's about myself, what I get. If today David is the one who is rolling in a Range Rover, then he's very attractive to the slay queen. Tomorrow it is Ken, it is him. Then the following day it is Ben, it is him. And that's exactly what our politicians are behaving like. And the truth is, Kenyans now need to really wake up, because the realities are money was lost. And up to 4 years down the line, we don't have any conclusive investigation around that. There is no indication that either Governor Waiguru was implicated or not, because up to date, we don't have any investigation report. So for the former Prime Minister now to embrace and decide that now let bygones be bygones, he's trying to tell us that it is okay. People can steal in this country. The minute we agree to a truce, then everything else gets buried. And this Kenyans should dig further a bit to the realities of even the build-up to the election, as you indicated, up to January this year. The hostilities were real, were very serious. Many Kenyans lost their lives and properties and all that. But when we narrow down now to what we are seeing today, it means even the guiding principles of most of these conversations were never really about the people of Kenya. Suddenly, it is about people who are really keen on what they can secure for themselves. And as I indicated even previously, Kenyans must realize that we are entirely on our own. Okay. Because as it stands now, this country is sinking. That's the truth. But now the kind of theatrics we are receiving from our politicians, you had the other day Honorable Kalonzo saying that sasa anataka mtu wa mkono. Yeah, so you find it is unfortunate. The dishonesty in our politics is really sickening in this country.
Okay, David.
Yes.
Thank you, Ken. Good morning, and let me first pass condolences to the family of my late friend Mutinda Kavemba, my comrade, a wonderful human being, a friend of us both, if not all, who succumbed to cancer of the stomach yesterday. I saw him in hospital. But that said, I saw what happened yesterday. But I think some of us who've known Raila Odinga a bit too long listen keenly when he utters some statements. And his words were, "Let bygones be bygones. I leave this in the hands of competent investigators." The hatchet Raila was burying is the feud he had. He seemed to have had, because he looked to have trained his guns almost entirely, and himself declared that Anne Waiguru had been the chief embezzler of the NYS monies. But now he has said, I may have uttered this, but now I want the investigators to do their bidding. And I think Governor Anne Waiguru, who is a lady I also respect, should not think that it's over there. I know that in President Kenyatta's renewed fight and onslaught against corruption and graft, many people are going. Some people will seek refuge in Raila Odinga as their, savior. I'm not too sure that that will make Uhuru buckle down, if what we have seen so far is anything to go by. This is a country that loses almost 800 billion annually to graft. And from the experiences we've had, it seems for you to be able to ascend, you must walk through the garden of graft for you to enter to leadership. It offers the opportunity to make some streets callously. Corruption is the reason we deny so many of our people a livelihood in the village. Medicines belonging to them are sold off and no one cares. Roads that are under the jurisdiction of even the governors are not done. They are pocketed, and we just smile. ECD classes that should have been built are not built. Our children stay at home, and no one asks these questions. And so I just hope that NYS can be expedited. Because we cannot lose 1 billion shillings, Ken, and then smile. 1 billion shillings can build entirely a level 5 hospital. True. And equip it and pay its staff for 4 months. True. So if we lose a whole level 5 hospital and all its equipment and 4 months salary to all its staff, and then we want to smile about it as though nothing happened, that's unfair. So that I would train my guns one more time. I mean, forget the politics going on. Mr. DCI, you have been extremely competent. What about NYS? Mr. DPP, you have made us proud. But where is NYS? We must be, the leadership of these agencies must demonstrate that there are set standards, and it doesn't matter whether you come from Migori or Kirinyaga. And it doesn't matter whether you're in office or you're not in office. The set standards are the same in fighting graft.
So we're not going back. You think he did not go back? I'd like to read a statement from Cyprian Nyamwamu.
Yes.
All of us are familiar with Cyprian. He says on his Facebook post, he says, is Raila Odinga a leader or a dealer? What became of levels and lanes? Is Kaburu on the list of who is to meet Raila next? Why not after meeting with Nairobi business community?
I read that post actually by Cyprian, and I think he raises very pertinent issues, because to the majority of Kenyans now, the worry is really who is standing by what Kenyans want to see, especially from our government.
Because that's what we've known Raila for.
Yeah,
that's what we've known Raila for all these years.
Up to March this year, Kenyans were still convinced that there was a journey to Canaan. Unfortunately, we understand there were crocodiles that popped up in the river, and the other day I saw people even playing with a clip of guys who harvested a crocodile. So they were telling Raila the crocodile has been removed.
The way is clear,
so he can proceed.
Yes.
But I think what as I indicated, what we have been largely lacking in our political systems and structures is the element of principles. And I don't think there's really anything wrong if Raila met or encountered the Governor Waiguru and they greeted each other and had a conversation. I mean, nothing stops that. And
the defamation case is withdrawn.
Yes. Now,
up to that point, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yes, because, I mean, the defamation, if Governor Waiguru no longer feels aggrieved by what was said, then it's a right to withdraw the matter. But we must not lose sight.
She did not withdraw it because she feels it's no longer necessary. It's because it's the spirit of cohesion.
That's the thing. So for her now, it is no longer important to pursue. That's how I would look at it, given now the spirit of the handshake and all that. But I'm thinking this handshake thing, we need to investigate carefully what actually is being squeezed between the hand of the president and the Raila Odinga, because I'm seeing Kenyans are the ones actually who are being squeezed in between that. We are agreeing now to begin to bury realities. We are agreeing actually to ignore the glaring challenges that this country is facing. Even now, recently we've seen that the EU has committed to lend us an extra 4.5 billion euros. It translates to over 500 billion shillings. And nobody's speaking about it. Previously, you'd imagine Raila would have been very passionate coming out about these kinds of atrocities. I call them atrocities because in the last 4 years, the EU pumped in another 3 billion euros, and there's nothing to show for it. And what I think we need now to begin to really interrogate is what benefit is this spirit of the handshake to the people of Kenya? Yes, we have seen a stable business environment. People now are claiming that things are stabilizing and we can do business. But where is the business? Where is the money that people are supposed to be doing? Because as it stands, still government is not able to meet its obligations, especially in terms of on the component of procurement. The government has continued to stifle actually and entrepreneurs in this country. So this idea of people just agreeing to set aside important national interests just because it is convenient for a few individuals. We must rise above
But
that.
where does that leave what Osian is speaking about? Where does that leave competent investigations? Where does that leave DPP, DCI? Where does it leave them? Because I think we need also to divorce what happened yesterday at Capitol Hill with what the DCI and DPP are likely to do.
Well, like NYS now we have 2 seasons. I think it's a series. I don't know, we are going up to season what. But but we have to really agree on certain elements. As you indicated, there has been this component of selective application of justice or investigations. Because up to now, that office of the DCI, well, Mr. Kinoti came in the other day, but we are not interested in the individual occupying the office. Kenyans have expectations in that office. 4 years down the line, we don't have any significant reporting from that particular office regarding NYS-1. NYS-2 reports in the public domain indicate that up to 9 billion shillings was lost. The case in court at the moment is about some 436 million shillings. So who took off with the rest of the 9 billion shillings? You see, at the end of the day, what we are being treated to is a circus. And I'm beginning to fear that even what we are seeing coming from the DCI and the DPP is largely part of the larger scheme, just to show people that there's something happening and people are busy, and well, something is likely to come out of it. And in the long run, it is Kenyans who are ultimately losing. That's why I think, besides just what happened at Capitol Hill yesterday, it is important now for Kenyans to begin to ask themselves, not the leaders, because to them, they are doing what is working for them. But the ordinary mwananchi is what we are doing working for us. Agreeing to continue supporting the spirit of the handshake or any other national initiative. Is it working for us? Last week I saw a letter that was done by Bunge la Mwananchi challenging the validity of this building bridges initiative or something like that. And you find they raise very valid points, because in reality, all the issues that are this particular initiative that has no foundation even in law are obligations that are already bestowed on specific commissions or in government agencies in this country. So we must agree now to interrogate and ask the hard questions to our leaders.
Okay.
Saying jumbo to each other is not the problem, but are we really conversing about the real issues that this country is facing? Because that's where the main challenge is.
Because I'm beginning to believe that the fact that Raila can come out and shake hands with Anwar Guru, and it's not the first time he's meeting Anwar Guru.
Yes.
I think in the last year or so, he has met Anwar Guru several times at the Council of Governors meeting, at some functions, now at Capitol Hill. So it's not the first time, but this has never happened. Now this was a truce, it was a settling scores meeting, and it did happen. Osian.
You know, Ken, politicians at the end of the day will disappoint us, because like all humans, they have their sets of imperfections and flaws. We may anchor our hopes on politicians and believe that with them we have the entire, we have redemption. But there will get to points when politicians will disappoint us. Not once. In fact, many times, or most of the times, we will be disappointed in politicians. But that is exactly the reason why we should focus on institutions.
Okay.
We must transfer our hopes from politicians to institutions. Are we able to strengthen our institutions to be effective? You see, the reason I appreciated when resources were diverted to these institutions, investigative institutions, is that if these institutions were, concretized, if they were made to be formidable, if they were thoroughly equipped in terms of resources, financial and human, then it does not matter what the politicians do.
Absolutely.
For all they care, they may want to go around and say it wasn't me, or it was me, or it is no longer us. Forget it.
But so long as the institutions
so long as our institutions are functioning correctly, then we will not care what happens at Capitol Hill. We will just wait for what the investigative agencies will say. We will wait for what ESCC says.
Okay.
Trouble is, institutions like ESCC have been ridden with corruption itself.
In fact, they've never made a concrete statement about Anne Waiguru's involvement. Sort of they've cleared. Anne Waiguru went to court to compel EACC to declare that she has no role or she didn't play any role. They haven't done it.
I know.
Actually, yes.
But you see, this is why I'm saying, when EACC failed, I think in President Kenyatta's wisdom, he decided to then transfer most of the powers of EACC to DCI.
Yes.
And DCI has Kinoti. But you see, Kinoti is the person at the institution. Yes. When you lose a wonderful person at the institution, what becomes of the institution itself?
You lose the institution.
We must build institutions from the bottom up. If it means firing everyone who has worked in there and getting competent Kenyans with better value systems, so be it.
What Matiang'i is doing with the immigration department.
That's just as well as Matiang'i.
Yes. He's
Matiang'i,
doing good work with immigration.
His absence from education can almost be felt. And his job at Interior, you know, he now almost doubles up as Minister for Transport, with all due respect to my good friend C.S. Macharia. Okay? People do not see the initiatives as Macharia's, but Matiang'i's. That's good, but that's the person. So when we have personalities, and of course I know to a great extent, even institutions rely on the people driving it because there can be saboteurs in it. But if you solidify institutions, you see, President Trump can just do so much with his rhetoric. There are things that he cannot do even if he wanted to do them because they are concretized in law.
He threw tantrums at the White House the other day.
But that's about it. beyond tantrums and beyond poetry and beyond the talk, there are things he cannot reverse even if he wanted to. Absolutely. He will need the institutions to do them. He will have to rely on the Senate or the Congress to do them. If we are able to concretize our institutions, to solidify them, then we are sure they will outlast generations of presidents. So even if President Uhuru Kenyatta today left and the person who takes over from him does not want to fight corruption but wants to abet it, then because he ensured that the institutions were firm, it will be useless.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
I think David is raising very interesting aspects about what has been happening, and also in the build up to this kind of institutions from a very long time.
True.
Actually, this has been consistent for years. And in
consistent and deliberate?
Yeah, it has been deliberate. Weakening and making sure that institutions cannot work. And I'll give you a scenario. You remember like when the presidential election was nullified last year, there was a direct threat to the Chief Justice that we are going to revisit this matter. And a few months later, we saw Parliament actually cutting budgets from
development budget,
especially development budget.
Yes.
The judiciary currently, unless a revision has been done,
they gave them 1.5 billion more.
Yes, but initially they had been allocated 50 million shillings for development. I mean, that cannot even build a courtroom or a serious outfit for the judiciary. And we have seen cases whereby, like the EACC, and I've been consistent on this, the EACC remains one of the most fraudulent institutions Kenya has ever had since independence. To date, there is nothing to show for what the EACC has achieved. They keep giving us big stories and investigations and files and all that.
And they arrest policemen.
Yeah, and then they are busy arresting policemen on Nakuru Naivasha highway.
I think it's my colleague Trevor Mbiju who asked about arresting the small fish.
Yes.
Do you know what the explanation he said? But how do we leave them? How do we leave them and they contribute likely to corruption? So we have to arrest everyone. And as you look for the big fish, look at the small fish.
But you see, when it comes to the big fish, it becomes a circus, unfortunately.
Okay.
Largely a PR exercise. And most of the times you find this culture of destroying institutions emanated from actually the politicians themselves. That's why today we don't have a political party without a personality. Remove Raila Odinga from ODM, there is no ODM. Remove Kalonzo from Wiper, there is no Wiper. Remove Uhuru from Jubilee, or TNA, there is no TNA. Remove Ruto from URP, there is no. So that has been a deliberate effort.
Okay.
The idea is it reaches a point whereby you really have to sing the tune of the appointing authority for you to be able to execute your mandate.
Okay.
If you fall out of favor with them, then you cannot execute your mandate. In the long run, what we are seeing now is these institutions we expect independence from begin to become tools of the executive or the appointing authority. Whereby if today I have beef with Ken, then I'll send the EACC to ambush you and harass you, and Then tomorrow when you do a press conference and say now we are together and all that, then suddenly these charges are dropped. And this has been consistent, which is very unfortunate.
We need to take a break, Ben. Yes. At the top of the hour, we are coming back with this discussion.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
All right. So with us, we still have discussions to do, including we are going to talk about Kalonzo Musyoka, you know, the envoy to South Sudan. And we still have a lot. We are live from the Milimani Law Courts. Vincent Odoro will be speaking to us. Okokusa is live from Kisumu County, and Bernardo Joang is still live for us from Migori County. We'll be talking to all of them in the next hour. Stay with us. We'll be back. Vincent Duwar from the Milimani Locals. But first, let's tell you what we are following up for you this morning. Now, the Kenya-China Trade Expo is also continuing at the KICC. We'll cross over live for quick updates once again. Kenya is aiming to double her exports in China in 1 year. There are also hundreds of Chinese firms looking to set up shop right here in the country and get deals with the government. We'll tell you why this is important for both countries. Julian Samboko is still there, and we will be speaking to him live later on. On our diary today, we will be at the Kenya Revenue Authority, and it's all about the taxes. KRA is holding a media sensitization on value-added tax. This coming at a time when the Kenya Revenue Authority is struggling to meet the targets. Recently, President Uhuru Kenyatta directed the taxman to focus on the rich in the society to ensure they do not evade taxes. Now, we'll ask KRA what their new strategy is going forward, and we are keeping our eyes on the developments concerning the detention of Migori Governor Zachary Okoth Obado. He may be arraigned this morning. The court is already convened. We saw the pictures earlier. Now, Obado was arrested for the second time in 3 months by the police. The arrest comes just a day after EACC detectives raided 2 of his homes right here in the capital and in the county of Migori, where a total of 8 guns were found. Obado, who was picked up at a hotel in the capital, was taken to the DCI headquarters last evening for interrogation, and until 9:10 p.m. he was still at the DCI headquarters. We understand he spent the night at the Gigiri police station. Moving on, we are also keeping our eye on the quack doctor, that's Mugo Wairimu, who is spending the second day in custody. He was detained for 10 more days to allow the police to complete investigations into the allegations of dealing in an illegal clinic in Nairobi's Kayole estate. Mugo was arrested on Tuesday evening. He has been on the run for almost 2 weeks since the documentary ran on NTV. There has been a hiccup since there is no victim who has lodged a complaint with the police just yet. Of course, they need them as witnesses. All right, let's take you to Kisumu now, where Oko Kusa is standing by before we come back with our discussion. Oko, good morning. We're discussing what's happening in the country right here in the studio with David Ossieng and Ben Mulwa. But talk to us about what's happening in Kisumu, because there are several realignments. We saw what happened yesterday. Kisumu is the backyard of Raila Odinga. Deputy President William Ruto was in Nyanza, specifically Migori. He's planning to go back to Kuria. All these alignments. What is Kisumu saying?
Ken, of course, as expected, mixed reactions here. Remember, Kisumu is considered as one of the bedrocks of opposition politics in Kenya. And of course, there is that concern among residents here that could this be the end of opposition politics in Kenya. The latest developments that are being witnessed in the country. Just the other day, the opposition leader Raila Odinga job there as a special envoy for AU, and of course the latest one, Kalonzo Musyoka of Wiper, also being appointed as special envoy to South Sudan. And of course those pictures that we saw yesterday between the opposition leader Raila Odinga and Kirinyaga, that is Anne Waiguru, have also been playing on the lips of residents here. And just joining me to shed some more light on their reactions or feelings regarding this latest development is a man by the name Onyango Tosha. That is on his street name here, but he's going to tell us his official name and his reaction regarding these latest developments. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Kusa. My name is Salim Onyango. I can strongly say the opposition is fully dead. This is the bedrock of Honorable Raila Odinga, the special envoy to AU. And we are saying this time round Uhuru has scored. Uhuru is now a professor of politics today. He has killed the opposition. He has brought opposition leader to the box. And now we are proudly and saying we are fully in the government. And we are proud to be in the government. That's our main agenda, to fulfill the agenda 4 of the His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta. The meeting of Anna Waiguru is also another noble idea, because we can't live, we live to forget and forgive. And Kenya must soldier on, we must soldier on, and we look for 2022. Thank you very much, Mr.
Do you think that probably maybe Raila Odinga is also strategizing in all this?
Yeah, of course, yes. Mr. Odinga is also a veteran politician. You can't undermine him, and he knows what he's doing. Actually, we are very happy as a community to welcome this home, because we need to be in government and learn to be in government and get the development right. Thank you.
Okay. Well, let me take another gentleman and then we'll come back to you, Salim. What is your reaction regarding the latest developments in as far as politics is concerned in Kenya? Opposition politics, to be specific.
Thank you. I'm Samira Ali, Chairman, People's Parliament, Central Square. To me, there's nothing like opposition these days. We buried that one. Wengi ndiye alikuwa opposition leader na alikuwa na ofisi na salary fulani, na 2010 ilikuja na inclusive government whereby opposition sasa ikuweko. Ndio unaona sasa devolution ndio ilimaliza hiyo. Sasa hapa government inafanya kazi ni ODM, national government inafanya kazi ni Jubilee. Sasa opposition hakuna, wananchi ndio wanataka kurudisha opposition nyuma. Raila has gone for what is katiba is saying, inclusivity. Lazima watu wote wajumuishwe kwa serikali, na hiyo ndio sasa ameendea, anarudisha katiba ya saa hii inasema na inataka. Sasa Raila itamemaliza opposition, ama Kalonzo amemaliza opposition, ama Uhuru amemaliza opposition. That is not there because katiba hii haruhusu opposition.
You don't think that Raila has betrayed the cause of opposition?
In fact, he has gone for it the way it should be, and is doing it to actually to work. It has not been working.
And do you think we'll still have a healthy government or a healthy political scene in Kenya when the opposition is not as active as it used to be?
This thing called opposition is not there. Don't force opposition to be there. Let Katiba, what Katiba is saying should be there. But Katiba does not have opposition. It has inclusivity. Okay. Everybody should be included in the government.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
You can ask one. Well, in fact, if you go to 2010 Katiba, you will never get opposition.
Okay, fine. That's an interesting observation there. Let me take the last gentleman. Just introduce yourself, sir.
I'm Isaiah Nyango. I'm a resident of Kisumu. I've also been an MCA of Railways Ward. What I can say about the opposition is we learned from Jaramogi around 1993 that after the elections we should cooperate with the government so that we realize the development, and that one does not mean that after that one there is no opposition or there is no fighting again to regain the seats that we have been fighting for. So I believe what Raila is doing is trying to collect the country so that people work together, they move together, then we eradicate some of the problems that has been following us all along. And after this, after the time has come for everybody to go back to where he or she belongs, then he will do it. I know for sure that Raila means well for this country. And our people in Kenya believe that when you are in opposition, you must fight on the street. You must all the time criticize what is happening. And if that is what it is, then Raila has done it. He talked about the corruption sometimes a long time ago. And right now you can see there is a lot of changes. People chasing those who they perceive to be corrupt here and there. So I believe let them work on all this. And when when something will happen that is not in accordance by the law, all such things of corruption and other things, I know Raila will come back and maybe give us the way forward to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. Well, Ken, those are some of the reactions from the residents of Kisumu here. And of course, you've had opposition being given a new definition here. Some saying that what Raila is doing actually now is part of what was captured in that constitution, and that is being in an all-inclusive government, as this gentleman there has tried to explain. So basically that is it. Very reactions there. You've heard it from the residents themselves, and that is it. Back to you, Ken.
All right, Okukusa, thank you very much. Okukusa reporting from Kisumu, and you in Nairobi. You never came to the office to say hi, Oko, so we have beef. Thank you very much. We'll be speaking to him later if at all we have any more details from Kisumu. And let's take you back to the KICC now, just before we get back to our discussion. Julian Samboko joins us once more from KICC. Julian, what is the latest development since we last spoke from the KICC?
Thank you very much, Ken. As I mentioned earlier this morning, today the focus is on B2B, where it is business-to-business matchmaking. The idea is to leverage the synergies between businesses in China and those in Kenya, and to see how the two countries can collaborate and boost trade. And the one kicking off just behind me at the Aberdare Hall is the agro-processing business-to-business matchmaking. So traders from both sides of the divide in terms of China and Kenya are coming together to have a dialogue and to see the areas in which they can come together and collaborate in terms of trade, in terms of production. And shortly I'll just be bringing on board two traders, one from Kenya, one from China. Madam Caroline, if you could just please come on board. If you could just introduce yourself and what brings you to this session and what do you expect from this?
Okay, my name's Caroline Geshinga, all the way from Limuru. I really appreciate for 2B2 for inviting me in this Aberdare Hall to learn more about food production, packages, and to trade with outside countries.
Presently, do you export to any markets, especially China, and what are you expecting in terms of this?
Currently, I'm not exporting anything. I'm new in business, so I want to learn more about it so that I can be one of the traders.
Which particular crops do you deal in, and what are some of your hopes in terms of what this session can help you do?
Fresh vegetables. Yeah.
And what are your expectations from this in terms of fresh vegetables?
My expectation are to know how I can do the trade, how I can know the process, how to do it, and how I can export it. I can register myself how to export the goods.
I see. Thank you very much, Caroline. She just mentioned that some of her expectations is to see how she can get registered and to deal in the export market. I want to bring on board a trader from China who is here for the session as well. Mr. Hugh, if you could just please come.
Hello, Mr. Jelins. Yeah, hello, everybody. This is Hector from China, from Liying machine. We are focused on hydroponic solution. Now I tell you why I come here. Before here, I don't know Kenya, but after arrive, I find Kenya the landscape very beautiful, the people very kindly, and also the music rhythm is very comfortable. So I think it's very good country. This is our first time to Kenya for exhibition, but I find many business we can do because we have many good solutions for agriculture. But here agriculture many places maybe need technology and also some cooperation. So that's why I come here. We are focused on the hydroponic solution and also modern agriculture. After we come here, many customers also come to us for check the parts, check the machine. They find it's very interesting. It's very good. So we do too small mini order for simple. So anyway, it's my order to come here. Also, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hugh. As you have heard from the two traders, the optimism around here is that the two countries will now be able to partner better to tap into the two markets, with Chinese focusing more on Kenya and Kenyan traders focusing more on China, and to unlock the potential which the government has been pushing for in terms of preferential treatment, to widen the access of Kenyan traders into the Chinese market and address the trade imbalance that the two countries currently have. Back to you, Ken.
Right, Julian, thank you very much. And I'm still on the avocado bit. We hardly have enough for us, so we can be exporting. Very interesting indeed. One of the things they're looking at is exporting avocado, you know. And I told Julian, we hardly have enough for ourselves.
Yeah, we don't even have enough. If we can be organized, and this is why I like Professor Kivuta Kibwana. The guy just realized that there is too much mangoes in Makueni. Yeah. And that mangoes are just wasted. So he said, let me organize these people into circles and teach them that these things they have for gifts in their homes that just fall every day can actually make sense. And so when he built the factory, and made sense for them. The Makueni farmers, I mean, people who did not even ask God to have mangoes on their parcels of land, now have an income out of it. Yes. There is sufficient avocado in this country. It is only that we are not organized. We don't even know its worth. So when you go to Kisii, my friend, the avocados there are too much, but they do not know that they can have a lot more value for it than just being in Suneka or being in Keroka and selling it to Nairobi comers like, you know, like Ken Mijungu. They can actually get value for it. And that's why I question every time. Don't we have county leaders who can think outside the box and make sense, economic sense for the citizens of their counties?
I have an answer for you, my brother David. Leadership in this country has never been about making economic sense for the people, except for a very
yourself.
It is very straightforward. Except for
the inner
very few lot. Out of like 2,000 elected leaders we have in this country, the percentage will be like 0.1%. Leadership in this country has always been about making economic sense for yourself. And you just stated that a few minutes ago. That's why stealing public resources is your surest way to becoming the next member of parliament, the next governor, the next senator, the next whatever MC and that kind of a thing. So when these people go to their respective offices, even appointed ones like cabinet secretaries, like really, we don't need even anybody to teach us anything about agriculture in this country. We don't. I have seen in Makueni since Professor Kibwana started setting up the sand dams. Little villages there by the riverside actually growing cabbages bigger than anything. In fact, the farmers in Olkalau would be shocked at the kind of cabbages Makueni is producing. And it is basics. When we hear Kiunjuri saying that he wants to form a task force to investigate why maize in Kisumu is turning yellow, you realize how scandalous and how ridiculous people can get in this country. It has never been about service. And when you look, and that's where the distinction comes in. When you critically look through the history of somebody like Professor Kivutha Kibwana, it has really been about the people. Even the NCCK initiatives that they did back in the 90s, agitating for reforms and multi-party, you can tell there has been a consistent string.
Where did Kiraitu get lost? Because he was among them.
Exactly, But now, I'll flip it. Look at somebody like our friend who is having issues with the national government advertising whatever platform, Ayub Savula. For him, it has been about, the primary driver has been about how much money can I make as quickly as possible so that I can continue impressing up. And we have seen this. We also have the fellow who is who thrives on fundraisings. I mean, why are we doing fundraisings? Because the people in my village in Makueni do not require those fundraisings. What they need is government to invest in the basic infrastructure. I mean, a borehole, if we sit today and do a fundraiser for 10 million shillings, that would actually do 4 or 5.
About 6. 4, 5, 6.
4, 5, 6 boreholes.
600,000.
That will serve that community for the next, I don't know how many decades. So this twisted idea of leadership is actually what is destroying this country. And I wanted to quickly revisit the issue we were discussing about this handshake. Kenyans may be feeling lost and abandoned. But believe you me, David, we have the best opportunity that this country has ever had since independence.
We do.
It is actually, I think, divine intervention that all the problems that this country has ever faced since 1963 are coalescing together. So it will be very easy to deal with them. I believe in me.
I didn't say it that way.
Yeah, it is the best opportunity God has ever given this country.
The best, the problems are coming together.
We can never have another opportunity like that. Let them consolidate. Let them get together. It will be so easy to evict all of them because in 2022. And by the way, it is not mandatory. There is no law that states that a government must stay for 5 years. There is no law. So we can quickly, let them handshake quickly, then we remove them, even by next year. They now get proper leaders in this country who have an agenda for Kenya.
Ben is the master of poetry. Let me tell you, I mean, there is an advantage that there is no opposition that is baseless. You know, oftentimes opposition becomes baseless. They know, even when the government does something good, just for the sake of being opposition, you must oppose.
Yes.
There is a rare opportunity in the handshake to resolve these age-long differences and baseless politic. There is an opportunity that the handshake has offered for President Kenyatta to focus on delivering a legacy. There is. Because had he had the Right Honorable Raila Odinga outside, still gathering the nation against him, it would be practically impossible. There is an opportunity in the handshake to try and address the issues around electoral malpractice, as captured in that initiative, the Building Bridges Initiative document. There is an opportunity that the handshake offers for dealing with corruption decisively. And I say this is the first time, I've been shocked. I thought Uhuru was a joke when he said he will fight corruption, until that Taj Mahal went down. For me, that was the point when I knew it is business unusual. And when he was confronted, he said, you say my brother was part of this mess, no problem. Investigate, find him culpable, throw him in. It's the first time you see a president having even a semblance, because people will say, no, he hasn't done enough. But even a semblance of a fight against graft was unheard of from any president past. And so, even though the handshake provides those opportunities to deal holistically with the problems that have been bedeviling the country, our focus must not shift from holding individuals accountable. Our focus must not shift from the unresolved corruption issues. Some have been dealt with, others are in the pipeline. The ones in the pipeline we must pursue. That's why the NYS case, for me, needs to still be focus of the media and the nation and the country. We must still focus and hold governors accountable for the resources that have been at their disposal that have not been used to improve the lives of Kenyans. I said, Makueni up to 2017 received 23.3 billion. The same amount that was received by Garissa, Kisumu, Siaya, Migori. Bungoma, 30 billion. The question is, why is it that some county in the back of beyond, in the home of Ben here, called Makueni, doing far much better, yet the resources have been the same?
I'd like to come back, Ben, with our discussion. We have to discuss about Kalonzo's appointment, right? It will take us about only 5 minutes, but I'm told Rashid Achesa, the CS Sports, is appearing before the Sports Committee, and there's a lot of issues in the Sports Ministry, the amputee team, what happened, the scandals, and the money that was sent, and all that. Let's listen in briefly. Let's listen in.
From my personal perception, I think when the minister was not competent enough to answer this question, they should have said so. Because if the project has not been handed over to them, they have not been overseeing what has been happening, and then this information is scanty, and then we need to know who has been funding this project, where once the treasury was released, when the treasury was releasing money, it was releasing to each ministry, and then maybe the sports minister can go and dig that information from them, or we as a committee we summon those people who have been handling these monies, because it appears the CS is also at a loss, because now he doesn't know who was giving the money. He cannot factor any money to continue the project, and I don't know.
That one, Mr. Chair, I have.
Let me finish. CS. More so, Mr. Chairman, at this rate, if not the ministry up to now, almost 16 2000 and up to now, that is 6 years down the line, the project is in a limbo. We don't know in which ministry it belongs. Then we are running the risk of just wasting public funds in a project which is already stored, and we don't know who will pick from where it was left.
Thank you, members. I think Honorable Tomei, the owner of the question has actually just come. Mheshimiwa, we are actually prosecuting your question, and the Waziri has already given the answer, and we are on supplementary questions. And I can see Honorable Maritin.
Thank you, Chair. Once again, my name is Silvanus Maritin, Member of Parliament and Amoy constituency. I was listening to the CS make his presentation, and you know, CS, they usually say, anybody's job ends up being nobody's job. In my opinion, this is a project that lies squarely in your ministry. If we are waiting for Ministry of Housing and Development to hand over that project, supposing they take forever, in my opinion, I thought you ought to have taken an initiative to push them to hand over that project. Number two, this is only one project we are talking about. What about if there exist several other projects that were initiated by different ministries then, that again have not been handed over to you people? If you have to sit down and wait for them, supposing they take 10, 20 years, it means that then this project is going to stall for that long.
Mheshimiwa, this is the answer. Maybe you can give you opportunity to read it. And then meanwhile, Waziri, can you be able to answer back?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a technical team here with me, and also PS being the accounting officer, I'll also like them to maybe to answer some questions, since they're also here with me. And also the issue that Member of Parliament here is asking, whether we are in touch, whether the Ministry of Housing has handed over the project to us or not. We are in touch with the county government of Nakuru, and from here, Mr. Chair, I'm going to make sure that I'm in touch with the county governor of Nakuru, so that maybe this project can be handed over to us. But since my PS is here as the accounting officer and I have a technical team here, I would like also them to respond on these questions, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Waziri. On the matter of us having...
All right, we have our reporters right there. It's taking a long time to begin. We'll definitely be telling you what's happening. But let's take you to Kibera. Earlier on, we were reporting that Governor Okoth Obado was to be presented before the Milimani Law Courts. We understand now they changed venue and took him to the Kibera Law Courts. And right now, those are the pictures on your screen. The governor has been arraigned, and the charges will be up shortly. Vincent Duer is telling us among them will be charges for illegal possession of firearm. His lawyer, Cliff Ombet, is already there. Let's listen in just briefly as he takes place.
We can take another bit, Ronnie.
That's Okoth Obado there, Cliff Ombeta, and former Justice Ombija, who are the lawyers right there. The court is yet to begin, or that's the prosecution currently speaking, I think. As soon as we have the plea taken, we'll definitely be taking you back to court. But let's finish the discussion because we have to let one of my guests go. Let's talk briefly about Kalonzo Musyoka, head of the Joint Monitoring and Evaluation Committee on Peace in South Sudan. One, what does this mean for Kalonzo? And secondly, what does this mean for Raila? And in the spirit of the handshake, Raila got in with a handshake and got out with something. Now, Kalonzo got in. The other day, he declared, nitakuwa mtu wa mkono wa President Uhuru, and suddenly, they're announcing this. But
foremost, I think it is really a good thing for Kalonzo. Kalonzo is a career diplomat, and his input, especially in peace building across the region, cannot be gainsaid. And it still takes me back to what I stated. I think it is a good thing that the top leadership in this country is realizing that they are better off working together. Whether this translates to anything for the common mwananchi or not is a totally different question. And critically, actually up to the signing of the Comprehensive Peace Agreement in 2005 in South Sudan, you realize actually it is Kalonzo who was spearheading that process. I'm imagining in this particular case he has a rich history in terms of really where the conflict started, the parties involved, because most of them are people he has known and worked together with for a long time. I would imagine it is going to be, it is a plus for the people of Sudan. Again, you realize based on the recent shifts, especially economically, within the EAC, whereby Tanzania and even recently like Uganda is exiting the plans on the SGR, and Rwanda and Burundi are already doing it with Tanzania. Kenya has really no other way other than getting involved in stabilizing South Sudan, because that is likely to remain our most strategic partner, especially within, you see, even the LAPSET project is near and almost dying, because there was hopes to work with Ethiopia and South Sudan and Uganda, and Ethiopia now is already, the new prime minister is a game changer. Now they are looking further north and east, and Uganda is teaming up with Tanzania, and so Kenya is beginning to get isolated. And tragically, the reality is this is purely out of the bad politics we've been through for the last 6 years.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I think Kalonzo's appointment is welcome. I do not agree with how he may have pitched for it, but it was bound to happen, and he is a person I respect. He is a gifted diplomat. He fits in that with absolute perfection. Just as, you know, you throw the Right Honorable Raila Odinga into infrastructure, you have just thrown him into his waters of comfort. And so JMEC, which is IGAD's initiative, is one of the very, very important initiatives. It was headed by Festus Mogae, the former president of Botswana. And that just shows you how much it elevates the stature of the former vice president Kalonzo Musyoka. You know, Kalonzo is reputed for being one of the political leaders in this country who, even if his name is mentioned in theft or graft, there is consensus across board he did not steal too much. And so he is not the multi-billionaire guy. And his skill is needed at this time as we stabilize South Sudan for strategic reasons. Apart from aligning in terms of, you know, the region, you need to understand that South Sudan is one of the most endowed in terms of mineral and oil in this region. We need them. Besides just aligning politically for the region, as Ben was explaining, we still need them. And if we play part in their stability, remember Kalonzo was one with the former General Sumbewo. Yeah. They were the ones who brokered a deal to let Sudan allow South Sudan, you know, to secede and self-determination. And so he goes into waters that he knows too well. He walks in at a time when generally things have been pacified, to try and see if Riek Machar and Salva Kiir Mayardit can now forge the country forward.
And the five other vice presidents.
Yes, and the 5 other pseudo vice presidents. You know, so it's a welcome thing. I remember Kalonzo took the leaders of Ukambani to State House for a meeting with the president. Because this handshake should unify the whole country, and there is one part of the country that cannot be allowed to look like it has been left in the cold, quote unquote. Because what it seems like is that the handshake is a tool of inclusion. So President Kalonzo Musyoka, Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka, can you bring to the table what you had thought you would do as Vice President to Raila Odinga had you made government? And President Kenyatta says, from Prime Minister Raila Odinga, can you offer me what is in your manifesto that's a departure from what's in mine? Let's sit and agree on what you think can make the country better had you been the president today. And so we wish him well in his new appointment, but we hope it doesn't stop there, and that it doesn't just become an income earner for the former vice president. His voice of reasoning is still needed in the country to speak when things go wrong. even when the government itself does not do as it ought to do to its people.
Okay.
He should render himself useful in that sense.
The fact that everyone who's now joining President Uhuru Kenyatta has to get something?
Well,
next will be Mudavadi, yes. Then we'll see Wetangula.
No, yesterday I saw a caricature with Raila walking in. He was the first to walk out
with
of
the government building?
No, out of the kitchen with a plate.
You walk into the government building with a plate written AU.
No, yeah, with a chicken on top of it. Then now I'm imagining the rest of
Kalonzo Musale were online.
Yes.
No, I don't want us to reduce this to tokenism.
But that's what he looks like.
I want us to view this as Uhuru being the older brother, the bigger boy, the more reasonable person to say, you know what, there is no need for me to block you from doing something you're passionate about that you can deliver on.
Okay.
He's not brought them in as president or as ministers in his cabinet. He's just allowed them because there needs to be consensus for you to have a regional role. Raila would not have a regional role, however much he has earned a good name as a Pan-Africanist in the region. The AU has to ask the president of his country if he can be allowed to serve. And that's the same for Kalonzo.
Okay.
So Uhuru, I think, has just decided to be the bigger brother, to say, I meant it when I said handshake.
Okay.
So I am not going to be here behaving all juvenile, blocking you from an opportunity that you deserve to have to boost your stature in the region, as well as if it works for your politics in 2022, so be it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Gentlemen, I have to let you go. Right. I have to let you go. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us.
Yeah.
And we'll always do this again. I know we are heading towards the end of the year. There's a lot still to talk about, and we'll definitely be coming. Ben, you have something pressing?
Yeah, very pressing, because you see there's this ongoing conference.
Yes, the China Expo.
The Expo. And the truth is that imbalance is something that genuinely needs to be addressed urgently. Okay. And it should not be the regular PR we are seeing expos and those kinds of things. Like we just were talking about the avocados and the mangoes and all that. I mean, Kenya has one of the most arable and the best arable lands we have across the continent. Unfortunately, we are not tapping into this. And the fact that we have not continued to invest in localizing our industries, even now when China challenges us to export, what exactly are we taking to China? You see, there is a very sad story I read yesterday about the young boys who are being killed in Dandora by the police. Fair enough, they are criminals. They have been terrorizing residents in that area for, and I'm sure anybody who has fallen under the hands of these young people, the gangsters, you'd easily support the actions of the police. But on the flip side, this is the question Kenyans should be asking themselves as we live.
Okay.
For the last now 5 years, we have sunk into our economy, or our budgets have run to the excess of 10 trillion shillings in the last 5 years. What economic opportunities are we creating for these young people? We are never going to kill these young people enough to stop crime. It has never worked anyway on this planet.
Okay.
These are just young people who are desperate. There are no economic opportunities. And these opportunities are largely agriculture. Agriculture can employ 80% of the population of this country. Unfortunately, what we are seeing at Kiunjuri's office is theatrics. And really, I think the president needs to stamp down his foot, because agriculture is immediate. We have a rain season that is coming up in March, which even by March next year, we can absorb 1 million Kenyans into agriculture with a proper structure.
If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Exactly. Department of Cooperatives, the SASRA, which is SACCO's regulatory authority, as well as the county governments, must deliberately decide to organize our peasants, our farmers who do not do large scale, our small scale farmers, into groups that can produce, because there is power in numbers in virtually everything, including agriculture. So we may have the opportunity to export avocado, but unless the county government of Kisii and the county government, let's say, of Meru, works with the Department of Cooperatives to cobble us up into an entity that is recognizable outside the country as an organization or company, we can't transact as a person singularly.
To be difficult
to do an export. Now, unless and until we achieve that, we are going nowhere. It has been the basis for the success of coffee or tea. They have merely succeeded in the exports, in exporting their product because they have been highly organized. So if we do not plan, we fail.
Absolutely.
Great, a good place to end. Thank you, David, and thank you, Ben, for speaking to us. We'll do this again. And on your screen, you were seeing some papers being distributed. That's at Garissa High School, where the CS Education, that Ambassador Amina Mohammed, is currently opening the papers and helping the students as they begin their exams. Those are live pictures from Garissa Secondary School, and the CS Amina is present there. They've been doing these rounds since the examinations started.
Okay, your papers are well sealed.
Right, that's Garissa Secondary School Education Cabinet Secretary Ambassador Amina Mohammed. Right at the conclusion of today's exam, I think they're sealing the papers ready to be exported or taken to the marking centers. They've been doing this throughout the examination period. We've seen the top government officials, including the president and the deputy president, going to several schools and encouraging the students and distributing the papers, opening the containers in the morning to ensure the integrity of the examination. So CS Amina went all the way with the media to Garissa, and that's what they're doing. They're just monitoring the examination. At the end of these exams, as they said, there must be integrity that must come out, that the exams were indeed secure, and anyone who gets the marks out of it or gets a score out of it must have gotten it in the right manner. They're very strict about the cheating in examinations, and this perhaps is the fourth year, if I'm not wrong, that they've been doing this. CS Amina might be speaking, and if she does, we'll definitely be taking her live. We have our camera person, Eric Sinta, on the ground without getting the pictures for us. But it's not the only story we're reporting about this morning. We will be heading to Kibera shortly, where Governor Okoth Obado has been arraigned in court. The governor was yesterday taken out of a meeting that we understand the deputy president was also attending. The Daily Nation running that story this morning. If you want to read about that meeting and what he was doing there, get your copy of the Daily Nation. We're reporting that story for you, and we have our reporter also, Vincent Duor, at the Kibera Law Court. We're also at a Harambe House right here, where the sports CS Rashid Echesa is currently before the sports committee, and there's several issues bedeviling the sports department, including the challenges. Just the other day we saw the challenges with the amputee team that was playing, and there were several challenges. Let's listen in and hear what he has to say before the committee.
They did not do that. We also cannot, by law again, we cannot tell them, we know there is this happening, what are you going to do? Because there is a clause of non-interference by government with federations. Again, federations are not even governmental bodies. They are independent organizations tied to the international federations governed by that international regulation. We, as the ministry, cannot go and interfere with that process. However, in the beginning of the year, all those that are that present their calendars to us are considered in the funding. And those that come in the middle are considered, but on basis of available funds. And that is the case here. That is what happened. The part of the team coming and staying at the ministry is regrettable, because I don't think it was fully sincere. We are the single largest supporter of even that event. We really give them the support of all their tickets. The other activities were catered for, as is the norm by the International Federation. And so the last part where they came and moved the goalposts is an issue we are trying to deal with, and now we are developing rules of engagement so that it is a common standard and there is no discretion. so that it is not that we chose to support this one and we didn't that. Everybody will have to follow the same rules, the same regulations. Everyone submits their calendar at the same time, and everything is presented for funding at the same time, so that in advance all federations know if they are receiving funding or not, and they are able to prepare themselves accordingly.
Honorable Lydia Haika Mizi, MP Taita Taveta County, member of this committee.
Honorable Jane Shabaibai, County NTV Marapat, and member of this committee. If you just ask one question. Yeah, initially before you ordered maybe PS to pay them the allowances, who was supposed to pay the allowances before? Because if they didn't tell you this, then who was supposed to pay them if they came and slept in office?
Maybe you cannot not these issues. Honorable Maritim.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just wondering, before paying the tickets, did the ministry take time to do due diligence in terms of getting to know exactly who are these people who are sponsoring the activities?
Yes.
Where they are going to sleep?
Yes.
You've talked of, you saw them wearing Sonko's t-shirts. Did you, as a ministry, provided them with alternatives? Your t-shirts, Kenyan Plus, did you assign?
All right, we have our team covering that for you, so you'll not miss anything. We now take time to talk entertainment, and Usha is in studio. She'll be back shortly.
Right, thanks a lot, Ken. A lot on the entertainment brief. First of all, my new set! Seriously, moving on, of course, as usual, we do start with our meme of the day. Take a look at it now. This is one that I think only we will be able to relate to. But I do have to tell you that this is actually the definition of hell on earth. Like when you just think you're finished and then she splits it into so many more. It hurts. All right, and moving on to music that you should be listening to. Now, this is in the spirit of throwback, but surprisingly, it is a new song which was done by Backstreet. I didn't even know that they were a band together anymore. But yeah, apparently they've done a new song. It's called Chances. Take a look.
Right, Usha, thank you very much. And I didn't know a new set can bring so much excitement, you know. Thank you, Usha, for all the entertainment. And of course, we're done right here on NTV Today. My name is Ken Mijungu, but right after this is NTV Sasa and Doreen Mujala and Swale Salim are here. And Doreen now joins me in studio to talk to us briefly about what you're discussing this morning. Sijambo kabisa.
Sijambo, nashukuru.
Tueleze mada ya uchambuzi asubuhi leo ni kupoteza ajira.
Bila shaka.
Did I make it?
Umezungumza sahihi. Leo hii tunazungumzia kuhusu kupoteza ajira, ambapo kuna muathiri sana mfanyikazi. Kwa hivyo mwenzangu Swali atakuwa studioni, atakuwa akizungumza na wageni wetu kuweza kuchanganua swala hili zima, na ambapo swali la leo letu tunakuuliza ufanyaje unapopoteza kazi.
Okay.
Unapopoteza kazi unapoteza wakati ambapo haufahamu. Lakini ni mipango ya mwajiri.
Mnaleta experts kwa studio wataweza kutuelezea what is the step.
Okay. Naam, ambapo tutakuwa tunazungumzia swala hili zima.
Alright, shukrani sana.
Usende mbali.
Tutarudi na NTV sasa. Shukrani sana. Jina langu ni Ken Mijungu.